Healing Minds and Souls, a faith-based community dedicated to bringing trauma-informed care to the North Nashville community and surrounding areas through education, resources, and building relationships to develop healthy and a holistic community. Pastor Ella Clay will be talking about how we can stop allowing fear to overtake us regardless of our past, present, or future. Come and learn how to recognize signs and symptoms of trauma as we understand the emotional, physical, social, and spiritual impact of traumas. We will unpack the meanings of vicarious traumas and how to avoid moral injury as we actively avoid re-traumatizing ourselves and others. Let's learn together how to navigate life challenges of grief, trauma, pain, and/or isolation, and discover our innate strengths of courage, kindness, trust, perseverance, and become better equipped to experience a newfound confidence by not letting circumstances define our current existence or future selves. Join our show today with Pastor Ella Clay. She serves as senior pastor of the historic First Community Church and executive director of Healing Minds and Souls, 1815, Knoll Street, Nashville, Tennessee, 37208.
Good morning. Welcome to Healing Minds and Souls. This is a beautiful day that the Lord has made. We're so grateful that you stopped and that you're joining us on this morning. We have an awesome guest, and thank you for joining us again. We'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors.
Are you looking for a way to successfully advertise your business or ministry? Look no further than North Nashville's online TV station. Our platform gives you the opportunity to showcase your business or ministry to a wide range of viewers. With our advertising service, you get access to creative professionals who can help spread your message and reach potential customers in a cost-effective manner. We understand the importance of creating an impactful advertisement, and we are committed to helping you achieve your goals. Join host Dr. William Head each Thursday live at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The show is Let's Talk About It, chats with experts on their field, issues that affect everyone, and interviews with people who have found success in life. Are you looking to watch some of your favorite family TV shows like The Dick Van Dyke?
The Dick Van Dyke Show. Starring Dick Van Dyke.
Lucy?
The Lucy Show.
The Cosby Show and more? Look no more. With our service, you can instantly access hundreds of classic family TV shows. Plus, you can watch them anytime and anywhere.
Hello, my name is Glenn Carter. I'm the owner here at Carter's Family Florist. We've been serving all over Nashville and Middle Tennessee for the last 25 years. We do flowers for all occasions. We do weddings, funerals. We send flowers out of town and have a host of plants, corsage for the prom, a dozen roses at Valentine, a dozen roses for Mother's Day. We do balloons, fruit baskets, and things of that nature, and we do deliver. So always come to Carter's Family Florist when you're in need of your flower needs. Address is 1822 26th Avenue North. That's Nashville, Tennessee, 37208. My phone number is 615-256-3777. Thank you for choosing Carter's Family Florist.
On this morning, we have Miss Andrea Hancock. She is a beacon of hope and empowerment, driven by her remarkable journey of overcoming adversity and embracing faith. She is the CEO and founder of Nana's Circle, a transformative support group dedicated to caregivers who selflessly care for non-biological children. Nana Circles offers crucial support, fostering and nurturing the community where caregivers can connect, share experiences, and find solidarity. They have monthly meetings. And she's also the author of From Rock bottom to rock stars. A journey of becoming. Andrea continues to empower others, offering messages of resilience, compassion, and hope. Andrea's life and work exemplify unwavering dedication to serving others with love and grace, and unyielding commitment to positive change. And she has a lot of work that she's doing throughout the community, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So glad that you're here on this beautiful morning. Right, so let's talk about Nana Circle and what that is, and what was your inspiration behind Nana Circle?
Well, my inspiration behind Nana Circle, again, Nana Circle is a support group for caregivers who are what I call reparenting. A lot of us have inherited children, maybe just in an instant because of struggles with the parent, and so receive a call from the Department of Children's Services, need a placement for the children or the child, and you take the child in and you think it's just maybe it's going to be a temporary thing, but me myself, I've been in it for 5 years now. So something that was supposed to be temporary has became your life. And so the inspiration behind it is that when I inherited 5 grandchildren. I was co-parenting with a set of great-grandparents. They were in their 70s. And the great-grandfather, James Holt, I watched him because the resources to care for the children, they hadn't retired to take care of 5 children, so just everything was more expensive. And the resources that was given to them was somewhat limited, and so they needed to have extra money. So I watched this man of honor, oh my gosh, just work himself. And unfortunately, he passed suddenly. And when that happened, a lot of responsibility started being more of mine and the great-grandma. And I just started noticing grandparents in the school line or old aging adults in the school line. I'm like, I wonder if they're just helping out or are they the primary caregiver? And after asking questions, I realized there was a lot of grandparents, great aunts that were raising children due to maybe substance use, mental illness, just a variety of reasons. So I knew that it was something that I wouldn't have it any other way. I would raise them or, assist in raising them. And I also knew that it was a lot of challenges that I had faced and I watched the great-grandparents face. And so I wanted to create a space for caregivers to come and to share the joys and the challenges of, reparenting or raising children that you did not birth. And it's been wonderful, just experiences. We support each other. I look at it as the village, because a lot of the aging or individuals are aging, they stand on the shoulders of the village. Back in the day, history is that you helped raise a child due to the parent maybe relocating, furthering their education or working, but there was help and support. But the village now is different because usually the parent is absent for whatever reason. So I just wanted to create a space where we can just share, hey, this is hard, share resources. We exchange shoes. Back in the day, if someone had some shoes or someone had clothes, we exchange clothes, we exchange Easter dresses. So we just kind of try to help support each other in on this journey that we're on.
Amazing.
Yes,
This is
ma'am.
really an amazing work and a much needed work. And I
Yes.
love the term to use, reparenting, right? Because oftentimes we find ourselves in a place where we never thought that we would be in. However, I think that things are divine, whether we know it or not. I love how you titled the gentleman, the grandfather, you said a powerful man.
A man of honor, because
Yes.
they were in their 70s and they
Wow.
took in 5 children. And although there were challenges, they stuck with it. He picked up extra work, tried to navigate the systems, getting resources, and eventually it just appeared it became a lot.
Wow,
Yeah.
my goodness. And we need a Nana Circle because we see within our community oftentimes grandparents or aunts are reparenting and did not have an idea that they would be doing the type of work that they're doing. However, circumstances happen, right? Things come up. You talked about mental illness. You talked about a drug addiction. So
Yes.
sometimes those are some of the things. Death, right? There are
Yes,
things that
just-
happen
yes.
where that we don't have any control over. And children still need to be loved. They still need to be nurtured. They still need to be cared for. So we praise God for the hearts of individuals such as yourself. Absolutely amazing. And so let's talk a little bit about, I had sent you some questions. One of the questions that I had is that, is there a correlation between drug addiction and trauma? And I would even say maybe mental illness. And so there's a thought that drug addiction is a disease now. And so I just wanted to hear what your thoughts are as it relates to that.
Yes, okay, so, yes, substance use, I always often say that substance use is the problem that comes from a deeper problem. And that deeper problem could be trauma. Trauma is just when something bad has happened to an individual. People handle situations differently. Something can happen to you and you kind of like, okay, you overcome it, you're resilient, you have some coping skills, you have support, your situation is going to be totally different, right? But the same thing can happen to me, or the similar thing can happen to me, and I deal with it differently, right? And so I do know that substance use and mental health mimic some of the same symptoms. I work in the field now. I'm a licensed alcohol and drug abuse counselor, so that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. I work with individuals who are maybe struggling with substance use disorder or either in what we call recovery. They're substance free. And so often, I often say what has happened. When I engage someone, it's not what's wrong with you because we see the behaviors, but what has happened. And so I believe in that journey of them building relationship, because support is going to be key. That's how you fight any trauma, support. Who you connected to, what you're connected to is what's going to make the difference. And so, so individuals, I meet with them, I, asked or, can I join you on your journey of recovery? And I try to help them navigate through connecting those dots as far as, again, not what's wrong with you because of the behavior, but what has happened. And so getting them connected to resources within the community, like mental health resources, treatment, different things like that. I enjoy doing that because I do know that we do recovery. Individuals, the Word of God tells us we can't judge anything before it's time. And a lot of times we see an individual at that moment, but we don't know what God is doing with
That's
them.
right.
I wouldn't be the woman I am today if I hadn't experienced some of the things that I've experienced in order to come out on this end, glorifying God, being an example of His grace and His mercy and a witness of His love and His restorative power. God is able. It's just amazing because when I come to this church, I often think about in my days of struggle, I would walk the street constantly. And actually, the day I was delivered, which was March the 2nd of 2006, it was like 2 blocks from here.
Wow.
So I would walk
Wow.
from that home
Wow.
up this alley and up this street to go to
Amazing.
this store right here often. And so again, that's me just wanting to be hope. I just want to walk with people on their journey and let them know that there is hope. And when you ask the question about substance use as a disease, it was looked upon for years as a moral failure. It was just something someone needed, you just needed to stop. It was morally something wrong. But studies have shown that substance use is a disease. It's a disease that affects the brain. Just like cardiovascular disease damages the heart and allows it not to function as it should, substance use damages the brain and allows it not to function as it should. And so when I work with families or someone experiencing substance use, I always encourage them to educate themselves. Go to Al-Anon meetings, which is support groups for families, to better understand what their loved one is going through and also how to better support their loved one. Because sometimes we believe that, giving them money and different things, and so that can enable. But just educating yourself, joining a group, because support is going to be key, just like the person who's using substance use. But a family member that has someone or a loved one, having support and helping them navigate through their experiences.
Wow. And I love the question, what has happened, because oftentimes society looks at people like, well, something is wrong with you. But that's not the case. It's like what has happened, what has impacted your life, what was your framework like to assist you into getting into this position that you are. And I often say too, Andrea, is that no matter where a person is, no matter what we see, we still have to view that person, look at that person with a Magaday, which means you're still the very image of God. And oftentimes we're on a path, we're on a journey to get there. But when we have individuals such as yourselves that have an understanding that has gone through their own journey to know that wherever an individual is, that's not the end. Actually, it can be the very beginning of a new life.
It could be preparation season of destiny and purpose. I believe that I was, it's crazy, it may sound, I was walking in purpose when I was having my experiences, because God knew what he would have me and who he would have me to reach. So, I'm grateful for my experiences, and I try to, again, walk with people on their journey so they can embrace what has happened, because there's a lot of reasons why people do use because the guilt and shame of the things that they've done. But then that's why I know it's important to know God, know, to have that foundation and know with God all things are possible. Knowing that if I confess my sins, he's faithful and just to forgive me and cleanse me from all unrighteousness. So I can walk in boldness today, although years ago you may have seen me walking up and down the street begging, right? And I often look at it like this. It's amazing the difference a season makes. I look at it as like planting seeds, because I believe that the people that I'm helping today, or who I'm walking with them on that journey, it may be someone that gets it. God delivers on down the line, and they can help one of my children or my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. Because I do know that it may be someone that helped me, that I'm helping their loved one now and just don't know. But God knows. You know what? That is really the truth. And that's why I consider most of the time that when we come in contact with a person, there's destiny. Although we may not know the destiny that has connected us, but it's a reason, even now, right? Yes. It's a reason why we're sitting here. It's not happenstance. It was ordained. And oftentimes we don't know what the connection was until we continue to talk. We begin to develop a deeper relationship. We're like, okay, well, yeah, I'm related to so-and-so. And so it's just amazing what God, how his plan is perfect, right? Although we may not adhere to his plan, but when we look at it overall, he brings everything full circle. He brings it together as it should be. Yes, God is always working. That's one thing my pastor had shared with me on my journey. And I say deliverance because I was spiritually delivered. I do know that I was delivered. Lord. I had been to all different types of rehabs, mental health hospitals. They didn't know what was wrong with me, and they actually written me off and gave up on me. And but in an instant, God delivered me. That March the 2nd of 2006. Tell us a little bit about your deliverance. Oh my God! Do you want? Okay, so here we go. I have to bring you back. So yeah, my deliverance. Oh my gosh, it's trying to get teary. So when we were just speaking on how you don't know what you say to someone, how it make the difference, and how do you interact with anyone. So at that time, my cousin, I had a cousin who never gave up on me, Brother Hunt. I still call him Brother Hunt. But he never gave up on me, and he was tired of walking that journey with me because he hadn't experienced substance use or anything. And he would come and get me and take me to church. And he would come and get me and take me to his pastor at that time house. And Pastor Harold Freelix, he's retired now, of Priest Lake Community Baptist Church. It was a day that my cousin that came and got me, and I was, it was just, he came and got me from what we would call a home where they was, using drugs and stuff. I reeked of, cigarette smoke and drug smell and all of that. And he had came and got me, and he was going to take me to his home, but he stopped by the pastor's home. And I remember looking at the home when we pulled up, and I'm like, these homes I only seen like in magazines or something. And they opened this door, and when he opened the door, it was just like white carpet. And it was a big old house, right? And I remember that the bottom of my feet was so dirty that I couldn't even take my shoes off, because they was like, take your shoes off, and I didn't have any socks on. And I remember one of the women there, just thought she could see the anxiety, discern the anxiety on my face, didn't ask any questions. This is the beautiful thing of a witness and loving people, meeting people where they are. She gave me like some hospital shoes to put over my shoes, and I was able to keep my shoes on. And I remember that Pastor Felix's mother was sitting there, Francis, and I just sat in the corner because I knew not to, you know, I didn't feel like I belonged, and my cousin already told me don't touch nothing, don't take nothing, don't do nothing. So I just sat on the couch in the corner waiting for him to greet everybody. And I remember Pastor Felix, he looked over at me, he said, "You gonna go look at the house with everybody else?" I think they just moved in or something, and all the church was like over. And I'm like, "Who, me?" And he was like, "Yeah, you." And I said, "Somebody's gonna go with me," because I was, you know, used to people watching me and stuff. And I looked the part, you know, it wasn't, it was clear that I was struggling with something, substance use, mental health, or whatever. And I remember he like, and I said, "Somebody's gonna go with me." He said, "You don't need, you can find your way upstairs, can't you?" And he just treated me like, and trusted me, and you know, that wasn't usual for me. You know, people didn't trust me because of the look and everything. And so I remember going up into the home, looking, you know, around, and just real scared. And at the, you know, when it was time to go, I left out of the house, and my cousin was up at the door talking to him. I got in the car, and then my cousin kind of motioned for me. And when he motioned for me, I'm like, "I didn't steal nothing, I didn't take nothing." I'm like, "What do you want?" And so I walked back up to where they were, and my pastor's like, we had a moment. He was like, "Did you enjoy yourself?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, don't be a stranger." And I'm like, "Okay." He said, "I want to see you. I would like to see you again." And I'm like, "Okay." And he went to grab me by my head, and he pushed me. He brought me closer to him. He kissed me on my forehead, and he brought me, you know, looked back down in my eyes and said, "God bless you, daughter." And in that moment, I felt that I didn't know what that was. I didn't know, and now I know that was the love of Christ. Wow. It was something that I hadn't had in a while. It was I hadn't experienced in my lifetime. Love, I didn't know what that was. And it was something that drew me to want to come back, just kind of see, what is it about this person? What is it? And when God says, "If you lift me up, I'll draw all men unto me." Yes. And by him just treating me as a person, just, you know, I just kept wanting, you know, one day when my cousin would call me, I wouldn't hide to come to church. Yeah. I would go, and I just kept watching. I kept watching. And in the midst of that, God was doing the work. He was orchestrating things. Whereas the last time I remember I was to go to Teen Challenge, my cousin, because I had been in a lot of different rehabs, and what they were going to do is do a geographical change for me, move me out of town, because nothing local was working. And remember, substance use was a moral failure. Maybe we get you out of town, you'll do better. And God divinely orchestrated where he had already been working on my heart, pricking my heart, right? Showing me an example of his love and hope. And this particular day, I was to go to a Teen Challenge in Philadelphia, and there was some test results that needed to be faxed to them. I went to the hospital early in the week, got these test results faxed over, and this was the day we was going to solidify me going. And my cousin that came over to the house where I was, and we sat in front of the house. And when they were reviewing the test results, they said something was missing, but it was on our paperwork. And I don't care this. I know God is real. But my cousin was like, "No, it's right here." It was like a liver panel functioning test or something. He's like, "It's right here." And they're like, "Well, no, she has to get that. We don't have it on our end, so she has to get that before she can come. So let's just try again next week," because I think on Friday evening. And I remember looking at my cousin. I'm like, he said, "Well, you stay here and you go to get the test, and then we'll try it next week." And I said, "No, Curtis, I gotta go." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because God told me it's time to go." And I remember in those last couple of months, I would tell people I had spidey senses because I didn't know what it was, right? Because I would have this like, now I know it's discernment, the gift of discernment. God was working with me in the midst of it. Because when something wasn't right, or, you know, and being in an environment where it's a lot of danger, I would be real, you know, mindful. And it was like he was leading me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. He was leading me. And so, again, this day I told Curtis I had to go because God had already spoke to me, and he had spoke to my heart saying that if I had already died of a spiritual death because of where I was doing, what I was doing and where I was. But it was put upon my heart that I was going to die a literal death. I was going to if I didn't leave then. And I told my cousin, I said, I gotta go. He said, why? I said, because God told me it's time to go. And he looked at me, and in the midst of my whatever, he often, we'll talk about this story. He said he did not hear me speak. He heard the Lord speak to him.
Wow.
And he welcomed me into his home once again, because he wasn't going to let me come back, because I tried before and I would leave, to go back to using substances. But this particular time, he said it wasn't God, it wasn't me speaking to him. He said he heard the Lord speak from me. So him, out of his obedience, him and his wife, Shamika, they brought me into their home. And 1 week turned into 2 weeks, 2 weeks turned into a month. And I'm like, are you going to send me away? And he said, no, I believe God delivered you. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, came up, went to church, I need a napkin, went to church and everything. And I remember at that time was Pastor Frehley. He spoke on David. Yeah. And been called a man after God's own heart. And when I heard that was love and hope and a place for David after all he had done.
Yes.
Because, you think when you don't have your own relationship with Christ, you think that it's things that, that you're so dirty and so bad that God can't forgive you of those things that you've done. But when I heard that story, that inspired hope, and I believe that time it was a place for me.
My God. And
so that, and again, the love of my church members and everything, I know it's, that's the beginning. Powerful. That was the beginning of where I am today.
Powerful.
So basically what I try to do, I try to be that was given to me.
But I don't think you're trying. I know you're doing it. You are certainly doing it in a tremendous and amazing, powerful ways. Can you speak to someone that may be listening, that may be feeling a level of hopelessness? What would you share with them?
I would share never give up. There is hope. With God, all things are possible. I know sometimes it seems like cliches, but the word of God is real. God is able to deliver. God is able to heal. He's able to restore. He's able to forgive. I'm a witness. So again, ask for help. There's help out there. Again, send substance uses. If you're struggling with substance use or mental health, it's all kind of resources out there. I know I wanted to touch a little bit on, my role as a regional overdose prevention specialist. Please. And so I work with STARS Nashville. STARS Nashville, the grant is sponsored, the State Overdose Response Grant is through the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. And so what we do as ROPES is that we go within the community and we provide education, awareness, and resources around the opioid crisis that we're experiencing. And so, I've spoken with you about getting training.
And we're going to do that soon.
Yes. So it's all about saving lives, because due to the opioid crisis that started in the late 90s to early 2000s, where they was prescribing Oxycontin, different opioids at an alarming rate, the face of the opioid overdose changed. And they started looking more into substance use, because a lot of regular everyday people were becoming dependent or addicted to these opioids. And so they're like, it has to be something else. It's not just a more failure, because these are individuals that was in careers, they were, high school athletes, it was college, it was just people from all different backgrounds that became dependent on these opioids and addicted. And so I believe that kind of sparked them looking into substance use a little bit more. And again, now they know that it is a brain disease. Yes, ma'am. So again, there's so many resources out there. It's no reason to suffer in silence anymore. Even officers, first responders, we have like leave behind programs where if they respond to a call where someone is overdosed and they refuse medical attention, they leave behind a kit with resources in
Wonderful.
it. And also the reversal medication, naloxone. Some people may have heard of it. It's Narcan
Yes.
or Cloxado. But naloxone is the medication.
Okay.
Narcan is a 4 milligram dose of naloxone. Cloxado is an 8 milligram dose of naloxone, but it's the opioid reversal medication. And we have resources in that bag for people who are in active addiction. We have the fentanyl test strips. We have the xylazine test strips where people can individuals can test their substances because it's harm reduction. Meeting people where they are.
That's right. That's
Realizing
right.
everybody's not ready or able
That's
to stop
correct.
using.
That's right.
So I look at it as giving people a quality of
Yeah.
life until they can choose a better way of life.
And you know, it really rings so clearly that that's very important when you see individuals that have had challenges and then they're able to come out and become rock stars.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
So
yes.
until that person can get to that rock star
Yes.
place, we still have to put things in place to assist them, right? The people, like you said, your relative that was there, his wife that was there, until they're able to get to the place of wanting to and desiring to, because I'm sure it has a lot to do with what you desire, right? We just have to have things there for them.
In
So
place.
harm reduction is definitely and
And
vitally
just
important.
love and community.
Yeah.
Community is key. Love and community, man. I'm going to tell you, that makes the difference. Being, I remember times that I would go to church. I never came to this church, but I would go to the church down the street because it was on the street that I stayed. And I would slip in the back of the church because, again, I didn't believe I belonged, but I just had this belief or thought that this right here would be able to fight what I was dealing with, because I know substance use was something that had a hold on me. But I just had in my heart that the Word of God would be able to help me, because I knew I was lost and I knew I was slipping away. And I would sneak into the church and sit on the back pew, listen, cry, and I would leave out before everybody. And so you want to be prepared and ready and be able to engage these individuals and, again, meet them where they are and learn more about substance use and mental health and how to interact and engage individuals who experience that.
And so, as you were saying that, Andrea, I was thinking about how churches, likely a lot of churches need to have training on how to engage and interact with individuals
Yes.
that are going through deep challenges so that they can assist them, because oftentimes, churches can appear to be whatever they appear to be, right? And it's just a fantasy in those cases. But when you are better trained, that you can assist people wherever they are, meet them where they are, because God is a God that can do a great work in them, no matter where an individual is.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But the training that comes through there is a training that churches can receive.
Okay.
I usually train the churches.
Okay.
That's here in Davidson County. And what it is, because it's the faith-based initiative through the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, they have free trainings for churches to become recovery allies.
Yes.
Yes, and they will send individuals out to train the churches to better prepare them to be able to interact with individuals. And also, again, we know that's not everybody's scope of practice working with individual substance use, but it just takes love and compassion to be able to give them a kit and say, hey, there's resources in there and there's people that can help you. And I often think of the story of one of the trainers where he shared that, when he got clean, or he was clean or delivered, and he was in church and he was struggling still with like mental health. And he said he was just struggling, just staying clean, mental health, and he had built relationships within the church. And one day someone asked him, like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, I'm not doing too good. And he said that they stopped and paused and said, well, I'm just going to pray for you, and kept going. And yes, I do need you to pray, and now I also need you to be the hand and feet
That's right.
of Christ, to
That's
be
right.
able to maybe talk to me. And sometimes we do so often just say, I'm going to pray. And praying, that's what we need. We need prayer, and we need hands and feet, people to be still, people to stop and to listen. And again, to know that substance use is not a moral failure. It's something going on with this individual. Mental health, there's really, for some people, there's a chemical balance. Or their substance use may mimic mental health symptoms. Or their mental health symptoms, they deal with them through substances because
true.
they don't know about the resources or having access to resources for their mental health. That
And self-medicating.
Yes, it's called self-medicating. It's a real thing. I work with youth as well, and a lot of youth deal with a lot of adult situations. And I see a lot of youth that are using substances, but when you get to sit down, meet with them, maybe do an assessment with them, again, what has happened, they're usually, at times, they're using to deal with symptoms of mental health, things that has happened to them, the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trauma. And so, again, often they're like, what's wrong with them? Now, what has happened? Ask them what has happened. What's the why behind what they're doing?
And look at them. It's something about when you look at a person, you share that about Pastor Felix, how he looked at you.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of the text where Peter, the man that was laying at the gate of Beautiful for 40 years, it says that Peter fastened his eyes, he looked at him intently. Something about when you look at a person with love, that whatever the challenges they're dealing with just has a way of eventually just melting away. And you are a rock star now. Tell us about your book. You have an amazing book.
Okay.
Yes,
So I participated in an anthology. So it's actually a chapter that's in the book. It's chapter 4. And it's a journey of becoming, because I believe we're all on this journey of becoming.
That's true.
We are.
Yes.
And we are, more will be revealed.
Yes.
And
yes.
it's just like, again, that seed planting process. Sometimes it may take crappy situations to nurture.
I'm gonna have you gonna have to come and preach at HFCC. We're going to invite you out to preach to us. You are saying so much this morning.
It would
God.
take crappy situations. Some of us, even with those who have received Christ, we wouldn't have received or ran to Christ if we hadn't been through those situations, right? And so, from rock bottom to rock stars is the story of stories of several different women. It's like 13 or 14 women, stories within this book of women who have overcame all different type of obstacles. It's all about hope. And I also want to share this. Sometimes we have to hope. You think about Abram when he hoped against hope.
Yeah.
Hope against, when I think about that, boy, you hope against hope, that's some hoping,
You
right?
gotta keep on,
That's when
right?
they said hoping, when he was of age, him and Sarah, look, when they was of age,
That's good.
and God had promised,
Hoping
and they
against
talking
hope.
about he was hoping against
My.
hope. That's some strong hope, but he was, God did what he said he was. And so sometimes we gotta hope against hope when we're working with people, dealing with people, because we don't know. We don't know what we're seeing. We don't know what's in front of us.
We don't know it
We
all.
don't know what God is
That's
doing.
right.
It's for us
That's
to
right.
have faith. Faith is I believe God. And if I believe it's nothing too hard for God,
Yes.
I'll deal with this person accordingly,
My
right?
Lord.
And so we have to be hope for individuals.
Yes.
Sometimes we have to love individuals until they can love themselves, but we have to learn how to love different individuals that's going through different situations. But we can't be scared of them, and we can't think that the blood stopped at us.
That's right.
See, some of
that's
us, we
right.
forget.
The blood doesn't
Just
work
because
anymore for
limited-
nobody else, right?
Well, yeah, like the blood, and some of us don't think about, we're so far removed from our points of deliverance, right?
Yeah, or we think we are.
We think that we are, right? And so, or sometimes I believe it just appears, I don't know, but sometimes it appears to individuals who believe that they meet somebody where they are, it's going to take from them and who they are in Christ Jesus. I worked with a woman recently, and she was in the midst of it. She was in the midst of it. And she said that she wanted to get some help. She said she wanted to get some help. And I just thought of me because she was right in the midst of it. And I know God is able. And I sat there and I talked with her and I worked with her, and she was ultimately ended up getting some help, and she's actually still doing good to this day. But I think someone else would have saw her in the, smoking cigarette, all of it, like she ain't ready. Man, I don't know what God is doing. I can't say that woman is not ready. I just know I have to be willing to connect her to the resources, right? Again, that woman is doing well.
Wow.
She's doing well. So, and I don't know what God to do.
And if people need resources, can you share with the audience where they can go find resources if they're in the process?
Which type of resources?
Well, say for an example, they are in a place where they're wanting to become clean. What would you recommend?
You can reach, so there we have regional overdose prevention specialists that can help individuals navigate. They can call TN Redline.
Okay.
Tennessee Red Line, and that's where they can link individuals to resources. You can speak to a live representative, and you can say, hey, I want to get some help. Also, we have respite programs here. And so it's kind of like when someone says they're ready today and it's the weekend and we say, well, come back Monday. We know that can be a lot that can happen between the Friday and Monday.
You got to get them when they're ready.
So yes, you got to get them when they're ready. So they have places like the Samaritan Center that does respite. A wonderful place that I love. It's called Hustle Recovery. Hustle Recovery, you can reach out to them. And these numbers you can find like online, and you can find all these numbers through TN Red Line, Tennessee Red Line. And we do have lifeliners and navigators here in Davidson County that can help individuals. You can get access to those to TN.gov. If you go to TN.gov and look up ropes, you can find that information. Navigators, you can find that information because it's all under the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
And so what about Nana Circle if they want
to? Nana Circle. Yeah. So if they want to be a part of Nana Circle, know someone that would benefit from having that support, for Nana Circle, they can reach out to me at Andrea, Andrea, at bmhv.org. Because Nana Circle works closely, and the organization that helped us kind of get started is Black Mental Health Village.
Wonderful.
So Black Mental Health Village with Benias. Yes. He heard the need, and I was like, hey, I believe in this, and so he kind of helped us get started. And again, you can reach me at Andrea at bmhv.org, or you can reach me at 615-582-1857. Or if you want to go to a website and find out more, you can go to www.bmhv.org. This is the front slash.
It's a forward slash.
NANA, N-A-N-A. So again, that's www.bmhv.org/NANA. NANA.
Wonderful. And so if churches wanted to be trained in how to do work with individuals that are going through different challenges, they can contact you with the same information, or is it
they can contact me through Stars Nashville. Stars Nashville. So my email address is ahancock, AHANCOCK at starsnashville.org. They can reach out to me, and I can get them connected to I can get them trained to become and so I do a basic training, but individuals from the state, we work together. They come in and do the bigger, broader training, which getting the church to be as a certified recovery ally congregation.
Well, you are doing so much. You are an amazing rock star, and we certainly thank God for you, and thank God for all that you're doing and all that you will continue to do. And we decree and we declare that eyes haven't seen, ears have not heard, it has not even entered in your heart what God has prepared for you. Although you're doing great work now, there's much more work that God is going to allow you to do. So we pray that wherever your feet tread, whatever your hands touch, whatever your mind conceives, that you're successful in Jesus' name. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again on next week. God bless you and have a splendid week. Bye-bye.